The following program is produced by the Tech Talk Radio Network.
Hey, this is Scott Kelby, and you're listening to Tech Talk Radio.
Welcome to another episode of Tech Talk Radio. I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Sean DeWeird.
And we are the show, in case you're just tuning in, you've never heard it before. We like to talk about computers,
technology,
and, of course, the internet and gadgets and fun websites. And we've gone a lot further than we had about 20 years ago.
Yeah, we talked about that in our we didn't do a show last week because we were on a different podcast.
Yes,
we were really well, which is cool.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. I think that makes its debut. It's the MetaCast podcast about podcasting, and they wanted to talk to us, so all of us got together to do it. And I think it's going to be available next week or maybe the week after.
And it was funny because none of my camera stuff worked.
That's right.
Here we are, a tech podcast, coming to talk to you guys about our tech podcast. And I couldn't make any of my camera stuff work, and my microphone didn't work, and it was a hot mess express for a little bit. And
you were the
we all
one,
got a good laugh about that.
Yeah, you were the one having, and I think in most cases you are kind of, and you have the best setup there. I mean, I honestly think you have a better setup than I have.
Yeah, I don't. You know, it's so bizarre that it just nothing I did would work. Chrome wouldn't. We used some sort of a streaming website that I'd never heard of before, and it just wouldn't recognize any of my USB devices.
Yeah,
it wouldn't recognize my microphones. It wouldn't recognize my ATEM, my webcams, anything.
Nothing.
And I did a reboot, and then it would finally recognize the integrated. I have an integrated camera on my Dell monitor, but then as soon as I switched over to my microphone, it cut the video out. So
it did not want to participate.
Yeah, it was really bizarre. So it was just kind of comical that here we are, this tech show podcast, and the video guy doesn't have any video.
No, and it's funny because you are in the video business. I mean, that's what you do. I mean, you do a lot of video, but we're talking professional, high quality. You do 4K stuff.
Yeah, we do 4K stuff. It's broadcast level stuff, right? So it's like, this is what I do for fun on the side. Like, just, for whatever reason, it just didn't work, right?
Yeah.
And, the first question they asked was, did you reboot it yet? We all got a good laugh out of it. So
yeah,
I ended up doing it without any video, but at least my microphone ended up working. So my audio sounded good. But
anytime you call tech support, the first thing they're going to ask you, did you reboot it?
I mean, that's really the number one troubleshooting step, right? Is it plugged in?
Yeah.
B, did you reboot it?
Yeah.
Those two things can solve most of the world's problems.
Oh, the other question, is it on?
Is it on? Right. Is it plugged in? Is it turned on? Have you rebooted it?
I've actually heard of calls to tech support where people have called in. They're maybe new users, and if you're a new user and you're listening, don't feel bad about it. But they didn't know you had to actually turn the computer on to get something on your screen. Yeah,
no, it's you would think in a world where most people have grown up with technology that, I don't know if it's just because I deal with technology on a daily basis, but there is a certain level of common knowledge that you would think people have about technology that's just not there with some people. And that's okay.
It's funny, though, because think about this, Sean. Again, we've talked about this before. Most of us have gone through this route of DOS days and Windows 3.1 and 98 and doing upgrades and hooking up, running your diskette in to get your booting off your diskette. And we've made it so much easier, whether it's a PC or a Mac, and it's going to be made even easier now with all this AI stuff that they're throwing into our technology, our computers. I mean, you look at Office, how that has changed in the last year due to AI, what they're adding into it. And, honestly, if you ask me, I think ChatGPT from OpenAI would have been a great Office plugin. That would have been perfect if Microsoft would have,
to automate some of the stuff on the back end and to predict, I get 100% agree.
I'll write stuff, 3 paragraphs long, and I'll put it into OpenAI, and I'll say ChatGPT, and I'll say, please. And that's the thing. Some people don't understand. It's all about rewording it sometimes or reworking it. And I'll ask it, can you reword this for me? just about, and it does the spell check and it does all of that stuff. And it's been an incredible tool. But some people will call me an incredible tool because I'm embracing it, at least from that standpoint. Some are just kind of a little fearful of it. But I think it's the same thing. You know, people have been fearful of computers when computers first came along. They were like, oh, I don't want to touch them. I don't want to use them. My former morning show partner, Barry, did not love the idea of us going digital when it came to our phone calls. It used to be at a radio station, and like this one, you know, play music. In between, you would get a phone call, and he would record it onto reel to reel. And in the time between that song and the second song ending, you would have to go back onto that reel, and you would play it back through a cue speaker, find out where it began, cut it with a razor blade, tape it together, find the point that it was out, and cut it again with a razor blade and put it together. We, rewind it back to the beginning point. So when you hit a button on that board, it would start that call. So that's how you did it. But when they switched to what we call Vox Pro or Shortcut, or even, some people record it with Adobe Audition or Audacity onto their computers to play back phone calls, he didn't want anything to do with it. It was just as easy as it made it, made it more difficult because he had done it for so many years using tape. And I think a lot of people, they are a little afraid of when it comes to that. Think about fixing your car. Fixing your car, you used to be able to do, now you've got to have almost a degree in, computer science to get under a car and fix it because of all the computers are on board.
Oh yeah, I mean it's weird because like if one piece of your car goes out or you get into a small fender bender, you might have to replace 6 or 7 computers.
Yeah,
and then you're totaled because the shortage of chips, or they can't find it, so it's like you're screwed.
Yeah, during the pandemic, that's I think one of the reasons we saw the prices of cars, and they still really haven't come down too much, but we saw them just explode because we couldn't get chips. Couldn't get certain features. Some cars were going off the shelves. They put them on a shelf. They were going out the door without some of the technology as a piece of it because they
just didn't have it. Yeah, it wasn't there.
People bought garage doors, just a garage door for your house, and they weren't able to utilize the features of that garage door because, again, the chips were not available.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about how a global supply chain like that can have such an impact on everyday things with just how everything is either IoT or connected or a smart device. It's just wild.
I just heard a story about, and you think about it, we came out of this pandemic and things started to get to normal. And now we have, some strikes going on. There may be a labor strike with the folks that deliver all those packages. So you might have a hard time getting all your stuff.
It's just, we live in such a weird world, and it's changed so, it's changed so much in the last, decade. Even.
Yeah. The last
20 years ago, 20 years, I was going through some old photos today.
Yeah.
We were starting to reminisce back, I graduated high school 20 years ago.
Man.
Which is crazy to think, right? Yeah. But it's like, what was the world like 20 years ago for me?
Yeah.
Right? The iPhone wasn't out.
No.
There were no smartphones.
No. You had computers at school.
Yeah, we had computers. Most of them were the Fruit Macs.
Yeah.
Fruit
Macs.
The other Macs, I don't remember what the Mac 2s or the Apple 2s or whatever, and some other stuff, some other Apples, and then we ended up going to some PCs. I don't remember what they were.
Yeah,
but
roundabout was 2004, I think, is 2005 is when you started to see that migration from Mac to PC in schools.
Yeah,
which we thought never would happen because it was mainframes in the 80s when I went to school, and I mean my first computer was a Wang. I want to say 3760. I can't remember the exact. And that's how what I learned on. And then you've got these Macs in the classrooms, and then it was PC. Now a lot of the kids are at Chromebooks.
Yeah, it's like Apple had this weird, Apple's always been big on education and giving educational, institutions good prices, right? But I think what happened was that the development of stuff outpaced on Windows,
Yeah.
where things that schools wanted to use and needed got outpaced on PC than it did on Apple, and Apple never really caught up because they wanted to do their own thing,
Yeah.
right? With notes and keynotes and
Well,
GarageBand and all those types of things, right? They wanted to build their own instead of adopting what everybody was able to get from an more easier developed standpoint. Word, obviously that's Microsoft, right? But there wasn't as much open source,
yeah.
right? So you either had Microsoft or you had Apple. There wasn't a whole lot of in between. So yeah, you definitely saw that migration. But
I think that might have had something to do with it. But I think what also happened is if you went out and you tried to buy a Mac, let's face it, the Mac prices were still, as they still are, higher than a PC.
oh yeah,
They're
100%.
very powerful. You can do a lot with a Mac. I'm a fan of Apple, but I think what you had is parents that were looking, going, okay, we got to, our kids got to study. They're going to do this. They're going to get XP. You remember what was it? What was there was an encyclopedia program that Microsoft, Encarta. Remember that?
Or Encyclopedia Britannica.
Yeah, they may have had some as well, but I remember Encarta was big from Microsoft, and it was on a disc, and you could look up things because not everybody had the internet. And then I think parents got to the point where they said, "Well, let's go the cheaper route and buy the PC," and that's what they did. You could custom build a PC. You could say, "Well, I don't need it to do this. I want it to do this." And even though you're spending $3,500 on it, you got what you wanted. Whereas a Mac was priced $4,000, and here's what you got.
I wasn't, growing up, it's kind of weird because growing up, I wasn't super into computers, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was more into doing, audio record, I did a lot of audio stuff in high school, but I wasn't super into building computers. So it wasn't until I got into college and after that I started really getting into building computers. So it's hard for me to remember what my first computer was. I just remember we had a lot of Hewlett Packards, HP machines,
Compacts.
compact, compact Presario or whatever it was.
Don't forget the gateway.
I don't think we ever had a gateway.
You didn't have a gateway?
But,
yeah.
But it's like if I was more into that stuff then, what would my career path have looked like, right? If I was more into building computers and screwing around with computers and that stuff back then, instead of riding dirt bikes all the time like I did growing up.
Yeah. Well, think about this too. Okay, so you have a kid that's going through school. They're in high school, some years ago, and they're building PCs. They're actually doing really good at it. And they get out of high school. They decide to pursue that in college, and now they're engineers. They write software. Maybe they have their own computer business, and that could be really good. That was a good move. Now, one of the things that a lot of employers are looking for, they don't care if you know how to use Word. They don't care if you know how to use Excel. They don't care if you can build a website with, WordPress now. They want to know if you know how to use AI. And they might not even understand it, but that's a lot of the employers that are out there are saying, do you understand AI? Can you use it? Now, some people have said, well, this is kind of ridiculous. Why would I want to use AI in my company? Because then one day I'm going to be replaced. But if you master that skill of AI, there could be a benefit for you in that job as it continues to develop. It's not
they
just
won't come
out
for you. They won't come for you first.
They probably will. Here, I show you how to do my job. Here
You're
you
going to
go.
generate a good rapport with the machines so that when they go sentient, they won't come for you.
Oh, the sentience? Yeah. If it goes, some people don't know what sentient means. That means an AI-driven technology eventually becomes self-learning and realizes it doesn't need us. And, some people say that's stuff of science fiction movies, just pull the plug, but it may not be as easy as that.
Yeah, I read an article today that, all of these companies that are dumping tons and tons of money into AI, right? And they're not going to, they don't want self-regulation right now because there's such a gold mine to be had, right? There's so much money to be made in whoever's going to come out at the forefront of AI that it's weird to see this huge race to be the top AI and how much money people are dumping into it, and nobody really knows what the outcome of it's going to be.
I was I was talking to Guy Ashley, who's our midday guy here on the station. We were talking about that, and we were talking about the implications of AI when it comes to photography. He's a great photographer, but also we were talking about AI when it comes to newscasts. He was a newscaster here in town, and radio. And you tune into the radio to get maybe your favorite music. You want to know what's going on. We've talked about AM radio recently, and we've got a story about that too. But you tune in for that. If you have a DJ that's on the air that is talking like he is just announcing the name of a song and the year it came out and goes into the song and it comes out of the song, that was so and so. More music on the way from these three artists. It's not going to pique your interest. What piques my interest as a listener when I'm listening to radio or watching a newscast is the emotion. I want that emotional connection. If it's one of the DJs talking about something that they experienced, something that was kind of cool, maybe whether it's time with their family, it makes that emotional connection.
This is been my argument the whole time, right?
About AI.
About AI is there's going to be everything is going to eventually just be so static, so sanitized, so emotionless, so fraught of any sort of critical thought, or it's just going to feel it's going to be uncanny valley all over again. You're going to read something,
the whole time
feel right.
Yeah.
You're going to read, you're like, this is weird. This doesn't feel right. And then it's going to be like, oh, written by AI. Well, that's why it didn't feel right.
Now, have you, let me ask you, have you checked out Synthesia yet?
No.
Okay. For our listeners that want to check this out, this was brought up to my attention a couple of months ago. I had no idea this existed. If you go on the web and you do a search for Synthesia, and it's Synth, and then you can figure out the rest because I can't spell it. But see, AI would not tell you that. I'm telling you the truth. But if you look at Synthesia, they have a very interesting concept. They are using AI and deepfake technology. So what happens is you're going to do a presentation to maybe some investors, or maybe you want to put something on your website, but you don't want to go out and hire a video crew to come in and film an actor or an actress or local talent to kind of present what it is that you're doing. So you go on to Synthesia and you pick who you want to deliver this speech. And they've got, like a casting call, lots of video, different representations there. And then you pick the voice you'd like it in. I'd like this in an East German voice, or British voice, an Australian voice, or, somebody from the Midwest or New York, or an accent. And then you type out what they're going to say. So you type this out. Now, remember, this is not like you're not looking at an animated figure like you would like a cartoon. You're looking at a video representation of a person. It looks like you are looking at a person. And when you type it out, it then takes what you're saying and converts it to almost a deep fake technology on their mouth, and it moves their mouth. Their eyes will move, their eyebrows will move. And the thing is, it's like just beginning. Can they make it better? I think they might be able to. But the thing is, the eyes are lifeless. If you look at it, take a look at it and tell me if I'm wrong. You can email me, Andy at techtalkradio.com. Let me know. Am I wrong? Does it feel uncanny? And that's what we talk about in Uncanny Valley. Does it give you that feeling? But imagine short clips.
Yeah, it's weird. AI it's going to kill any level of creativity.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to be creative today, so I'm just going to let my AI do it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so what? Are we going to lose our freedom of expression? Are we going to lose our freedom to think creatively? Like, I just feel like it's going to be such a bad direction for mental health because there's so much good that comes in doing art, music, writing, storytelling, storyboarding, anything that has to do with the create, like movie making, storyboarding, scripting. That all comes from, it comes from your soul in some cases, right?
Yeah.
If it comes from a machine and it feels sanitized and it feels generated, like what's that going to do? Like, what is that going to do for the morality of people who do art or do writing for a living?
Based on a life experience.
When somebody, your boss is going to come to you and go, yeah, I'm not really feeling your soul today, so I'm going to give it to a computer.
Yeah.
I'm not enjoying your writing. You have writer's block. AI doesn't, so you're out.
And it's exactly that emotional connection. That's one of the reasons the Writers Guild, as you know, has been on strike. And a lot of that is dealing with, hey, they want protection from AI. They don't want to have a script run through a generator to say, make this more saleable, make it more, the other day I was looking for keywords for a website, and I thought, let's see what ChatGPT comes up with. And I put in an article up on ChatGPT, and I said, give me keywords out of this that would make this more SEO friendly. It was ridiculous. It had, there was no rhyme or reason to it. It didn't really, I think, understand what I was asking it for. And so it gave me a bunch of kablooey. I mean, it was baloney. There's no way that would have helped. But again, it's like we're trusting, and it's like trusting that new person at work. Go ahead and take this project and make it big. So they're working on protecting their creativity by saying, I've got written you a script. You accept the script. Don't take it and pop it into AI to try and make it more saleable. You look at every article that is on, I will say, Microsoft Edge, any news article that you see when you pull up Edge and you see the news stories. Almost every single thing there is clickbait, and a lot of that's created by AI. Make that, you could tell it, make this story, give me a headline to make this story clickable, and it will do that. But it's clickbait. I saw a story there the other day about Kirstie Alley dying. The other day, Kirstie Alley died a while ago, like a long while ago. But is that because people maybe don't know? So it wants you to click on this story to suddenly go, oh, I didn't know she died.
Or maybe you watch enough Hallmark and Lifetime movies that Kirstie Alley were in that you need to know that.
Are you poking fun of me?
Yes.
My Hallmark movies?
Yes.
No, I've kind of moved a little to Lifetime now because there's crime involved. So I'm getting a little of ID Channel and Hallmark at the same time. It's right there in the middle.
I'm proud of you for expanding your horizons.
They're going to write Hallmark movies with AI. I would not be surprised.
100%. Okay. You think, okay.
It's
somebody's
a formula.
going to say they're going to have one person now. Hallmark. That's all it's going to be. Is one person says cheesy Christmas movie with couple that's engaged that breaks up before a massive trip out west. Click, go. There's one movie.
Well, no, wait a minute. For somebody who does not watch Hallmark, how do you know that's the plot of every holiday movie?
Hey, hold on. I've never said that I've never watched Hallmark movies. Justin always gets in there and gives you a hard time about it first, and never lets me say that I enjoy these movies too.
Yeah.
So he's not here, so he doesn't get to give me a hard time about it. And if you say a word to him about it,
it'll be our secret, us and the listeners.
I'm going to tell you right now, one of my favorite shows. It was on. I don't think it was on the Hallmark. Yeah, it was on the Hallmark show.
Yeah.
One Calls the Heart.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, I know that show.
Love that show. Such a good show.
It was like the Old West, right? Like
I wouldn't be caught dead in a conversation with Justin. I know I watched that show.
But there's this one actress that's in that. I don't know who it is. She's always looking up at the camera, like up into the sky, and it's the same expression. Even in her Hallmark movies, they do that. Like,
I think I know who you're talking about. I'm gonna have to look her up.
Why is she doing that? But yeah, so it's still going to affect our life, and there is nothing that us as consumers, as I'm a consumer, just like you listening, can do to stop it. So I think not
one thing.
But can we understand it a little more and adjust to it. Now, you don't even want to embrace it at all. You're like, hate this idea of ChatGPT.
We talked about it before the show, right? It's like, I'm going to have to for my career. I know that AI is going to impact the way I do my job. It's just the way it is, right?
Yeah.
AI can analyze and look at millions and millions of hours of sports footage, right? And it's going to be able to know and analyze and predict breakaways, 3-pointers, 2-point, and it's going to be able to put up stats. It's
Do you think
say AI is going to be smart enough? I mean, they're already doing AI tracking,
right?
Doing other sorts of things, right? And it's going to know. So it's going to know. Okay, a score just got made. I can read the letters on their jersey, so I know it was this player. I know their entire scoring history, and I can put up all that stat information right away. Boom, done. Generating all these crazy stats. That was his 450th point, his second his second 3-pointer of the game, and he is 2 for 2 in his 3-throw, and he's just gonna be able to generate all that instantly.
Do you think? Now I'm wondering about this. Do you think that AI could be a tool used by the owners to actually visually watch the plays of a team and then learn them?
100%.
Wow.
It's going to track players. You're already doing it with augmented reality.
Mm-hmm.
You're already tracking stuff like that, and there's a lot of teams. A lot of teams right now, a lot of sports teams are tracking players via GPS.
Right.
Currently, like the hockey team at Notre Dame tracks all their players via GPS.
So you can see where they are on the ice.
These devices, yep, and they can see them in live on iPads, and they can track speed, duration, how long they've been on the ice, all this crazy stuff, and it's all for sports medicine, right? Because a coach can look at that information and go, "Yeah, I saw you were a little slower today than you were at practice 2 days ago. What's going on?" Well, I think I might have bumped into my knee or something, right? And it's like they can predict that the player might be injured or might be favoring his left leg instead of his right leg, and things like that. So they can, but AI is going to be able to do all that. AI could flag that and go, this player is running slower today than he's run in his past 4 cycles.
Right.
So starts putting up flags, and then
well, does it make you wonder though? I mean, what happens when they decide we don't need players? Let's just run robotics on the ice and people will watch. Will they? I have a feeling that we won't.
I don't know.
I have a feeling. I mean, although if you think about it, at CES this past year and the year before, they did the races in Vegas using artificial intelligence inside race cars. There was no people driving them. It was all being driven by AI. And to choose, the spots to turn, cars to avoid, and the whole bit. And you could still see the video available up on YouTube of some of these races. They were pretty exciting, except there were no racers in them. But racers are what makes a lot of people. It's like if you took the country artist out of country music and it was just a guitar and just a drum and an AI voice. I don't care what you say. People will not listen.
And we're circled back to my original point I've been making this whole time since you guys told me about ChatGPT. It's emotion. It's creativity. Like if you just made my point for me.
Yeah.
Creativity. That's going to go away. There's going to be no original creative thought, period.
Right.
And that is going to have a profound impact on society going forward. It's just the way it is. We are going to become so dumb.
A lot of us already are.
I don't get it. And without creativity, without the arts, without music, without all of this stuff, like everybody wants to be perfect, right? I would love to be an amazing trumpet player. I would love to be an amazing artist. I'm not those things, right? Because they're not something that I have a passion to do.
Right.
Right. But if I could generate it on ChatGPT and make money and look how great I am at doing this thing. And now I have this false sense of like, I don't think it's going to mess with people's psyches. And it doesn't sit right with me.
Kind of thought about this just now. ChatGPT, OpenAI, is Borg. You know why I say that?
Assimilating. Yeah, we're all getting assimilated.
And resistance
It's
is futile.
futile.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Quick break. We'll come back with more of Tech Talk Radio. Got a couple of cool products to tell you about if you want to secure your data. You don't want prying eyes. I've got something that I took a look at this past week on Fox 11. We'll tell you about that coming up. I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Sean DeWeird. I don't know what my Borg designation would be at this time. Find us on the web at techtalkradio.com.
And now, back to Tech Talk Radio.
This week on KMSB Fox 11, I showed a couple of cool products to help with, just productivity accessories, that kind of thing. And one of them, have you ever lost a flash drive, Sean?
Have I ever lost a flash drive? Yes, I've lost many.
And
I've washed them. I've lost them. I've destroyed them. I've given them away on accident.
Yeah, I know there's one I gave the boss here. I never saw it again. And we're talking like 7 years ago. And I still wonder.
The worst thing you can do is somebody can say, "Hey, I need a flash drive real quick. I'll bring it right back."
Yeah, you don't get them back.
That's why I have 1 gig flash drives on my desk.
Just so you can hand them out?
Here's a flash drive. And they'll come back 10 minutes later. Yeah, this isn't big enough.
Well, the other concern too is, all right, so you have a flash drive, you give it to somebody. Now, even if you had this flash drive and you have formatted it and you give it to somebody and they take it and they don't bring it back, then one day they get curious and they get online and they find that software program. And there's a couple, EaseUS is one of them. And they decide to go ahead and see what was in that deleted partition or formatted flash drive. They can very easily come up with some of that stuff you thought that was gone. Unless you use, Darian's boot and nuke, which will, delete stuff to Department of Defense standards. That stuff is still there.
A lot of people don't realize that when you delete something off your hard drive or your flash drive, it's not really gone. The data is still there. It's just waiting to be overwritten by something new.
Yeah, and sometimes
until somebody writes files, those ones and zeros are still in place, and a software can go back in and recompile those ones and zeros and show you stuff that was deleted.
One of the best that I like is from OnTrack from Kroll. Kroll OnTrack was probably one of the best products I've used for years. I use another program, Get Data, from a company in Australia, and they're very good at data recovery. I've had people who've accidentally formatted stuff or written over a flash drive, or they've had a drive that for some reason they weren't able to access data, and I've been able to recover the data. I've done full data recovery on drives, and I love it. It's so much fun to do that. But if you have that instance where you have a document, you have a photo, you have videos, you have stuff on this drive that maybe you don't want people to see, and you lose it, or you give it to somebody. There is a kind of a new technology that's available on the market, and they've done this similar. There's a couple choices you have. They had Kingston Technologies, based in my old hometown area of Fountain Valley, California. What they've done is they've taken their technology that they had originally in their data traveler drives, which was great because you would plug the drive in to your computer and up would pop a screen and you'd have to type in a password. Well, that's good. Well, the new version of this now instead has a keypad on the flash drive itself. So you have to enter the keys to 8 to 15 character alphanumeric characters. You enter them on that. You can't do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You've got to actually come up with a word that could be a phrase. And you enter that in, press the key button, and unlocks. Plug it into your drive. When you pull that out of that drive, it changes the power on it, and then you'd have to re-enter your password again. Now, say you drop it somewhere, and you've got documents on there. I think this would be a perfect type of tool for somebody in the real estate business or that's doing notary. You could put those important documents securely on this drive. So if you lose it, you don't have to worry about, somebody finding it and having access to social security numbers, loan numbers, the whole bit. But then if you do lose it and somebody finds it and they say, what's on this? They plug it in, which you should never do if you find a flash drive. Because hackers will put flash drives and just throw a 512 or 1 gig on the ground somewhere. And there's a software program on that. You plug it in and you're compromising your system. So
or worse, there are people who are malicious and build circuits inside that will take the voltage from your computer to power the USB, turn it directly around and fry your computer.
Yeah. Believe that could happen. Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it don't. It's like for a work gift, we got USB sticks from the Office of Information Technology.
Right.
And I just thought, what are they trying to tell us here? Like, what is this, a phishing attempt? Like, I just thought it was a really weird thing to get. I mean, it's cool. It says their name on it, and but it's like, I'm skeptical of everything.
Yeah.
Like, I'm skeptical. Like,
I've had people that have told me that you could build a dummy machine. Basically get an old laptop, you build a dummy machine. It's not connected to the net, not on your network, and you could test stuff out that way. Again, you're taking a big risk when you do that. But say somebody
it'd be kind of fun to see what's on some of that stuff,
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And there's people, I know that like Bookman's and there's other places. I don't know if they do that, but they sell flash drives. And it'd be interesting. It'd be a fun experiment to one day go and get one of these and buy them and see what's on there. What is still on there that they thought was off of there. And, the same goes for thrift stores. Thrift stores sell computers. I know somebody who had a thrift store computer that brought it to me as an experiment. And sure enough, tons of photos that did not belong to them that were recoverable through a data recovery. So, it's kind of amazing. But so say you take this drive, okay, and you plug it in and you're like, okay, I don't know what the password is. You try it 10 different times. The 10th try, that drive is wiped to DoD standards, military grade. It's AES 256. It's got this feature then that will, after the 10 tries, and that's not consecutive. You do one, okay, there's one bad try. And then, you put it away, come back 3 months later, try it again. That's 2 bad tries. So again, no matter what, after 10 tries, it will wipe the drive.
I would wipe that drive after like a week.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at remembering passwords. I'd have it like written in Sharpie on the backside.
That kind of defeats the purpose.
A sticky note in an envelope with the password written down on it.
That kind of defeats the purpose, though, Sean. The whole thing is protect the data.
Or Max would get a hold of it and lock me out.
Your kid,
He locked me out of my watch for like 2.5 hours the other day.
Oh, can you imagine that? Keep plugging it into the USB. It's like, yep, nope. Hit the buttons on it.
He just taps on my watch for fun, just to tap on it, and then all of a sudden I'm blocked out for 5.5 hours.
We got to do that as an experiment. We'll get one of the 8 gigabyte models and send it to him and see how long it'll take Max to wipe out.
How long does it take Max to wipe it? That would be great.
Now the thing is,
competition. Who could do it faster, Max or Eric?
Yeah. Now Samsung, I will say, has a unit that's biometric. So it's an SSD drive, so you don't have to worry about dropping it. Like this flash drive, it's electronic. It's not going to be, spinny. And that one is biometric. But this is a different take on it, of course, with the keys. I think Kingston's got a winner here. Pricing wise, though, for 8 gigabytes, now an 8 gigabyte flash drive, how much would that generally cost you? This is going to be around about $90 for 8 gigabytes.
For 8 gig?
Yes.
That's like, wow.
Yeah. With this
that's like going back to
10 years ago. Yeah. It's pricey, but again, it's that security, that 256, that level, that military grade.
Yeah. You're paying for that, right?
You're paying for that. And if you want to get the top of the line, which is 128 gigabytes, not that much by today's standards, it's about $200. But it does come in a nice case that is, I'm not sure. I think it's IP65, but it will protect against some water, some dust. Has a galvanized steel chain, so you can connect it to your key ring. And again, it's pretty good. So that's That's something to think about if you're looking for a new product to keep you safe. The other thing I showed this week, Sean, you would love this. I finally found a diskette reader USB. It's made from Tandek.
Like a floppy drive?
It's a floppy diskette reader. Well, they were
Perfect.
floppy, yeah. But I thought, oh, here's the other curiosity part. I wanted to see. I have all these disks. I wanted to see what's on them. So I plugged them in, right? And it says it only works with Windows 98, Windows XP, Windows ME, Windows 8, Windows doesn't even rate 7 or 10 or 11 on there, but it did identify it on my Windows 11 machine. It did see it. I popped the diskette in. Every single diskette I had was another startup disk for some operating system to start up. And that was it. I mean, nothing that exciting on them.
Yeah, so when I went through in 2019 and right into the beginning of COVID, I did that huge family photo restoration.
I remember that, yeah.
All those photos and scanned them and all the films and stuff. Part of that was pulling photos off of 3.5 floppy drives.
Oh, wow.
So I have a USB floppy drive reader.
Right.
And pop it in, and what can fit on 3.5 megs.
Yeah. Isn't it funny? Like
Right?
sometimes
It's
it's just like maybe 5 or 6 pictures, depending on the size.
It mostly was tax documents,
Mm-hmm.
correspondence, email backups, checkbook ledgers, that type of stuff, right? So it was interesting to go through that, but it was like letters from my grandpa to my grandma, letters from Germany to the U.S. because my relatives still live in Germany, and so it was cool to see all that because they had just saved it from their emails onto these floppy drives. So, but that's how you stored stuff, right? Back in the late '90s, in the early 2000s, right?
I did find
before CDs were a big thing and CD burners and stuff.
They did not have a 5 1/4. No, they did not have, or they did not have those reader for those. Those are like, forget them.
What about zip disk?
I still have a zip reader, but it's not USB. So I'm,
Right.
I've got to find an old machine if I want to access it. I even have iOmega tapes. I still have the tape drive. I still have an old computer. Will it still work? I don't know.
I have a zip disk FireWire 400 reader.
Oh, wow. Really?
So I was able to plug that into my dongle,
Right.
the USB-C, and plug it in and get all my bunch of high school stuff off zip disks because that's what we used in high school was zip disks.
Man.
And and I did a lot of graphic arts and design in high school, so I had a 125 meg zip disk, which was a big deal.
Yeah.
But then I must have taken one of these at some point, but I had a 750 meg zip disk.
Whoa, really?
Yeah. That was like,
Is there anything on them?
it was, I don't remember now. That was so long ago. I'd have to fire back up, but it had all my project files, Photoshop files, InDesign files, and all stuff, and photos and videos and stuff that I'd done in high school. But that was a lot of storage back then for a zip drive.
Yeah. That's probably when, I want to say 10 megabytes were like kind of the norm, or 100 megabytes were the norm for a hard drive inside a computer.
Yeah.
You think about how far we've come now. I was, where was I the other day? I saw a Western Digital Duo, 22 gigabyte each. So 22 terabytes. So basically 44 terabytes of data that could be stored on this drive. It was 22. And then it automatic. It's a Duo, so it backs up.
And that's, and then think about this, right? That's 20 years. Like that was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
What is it going to look like in 20 years from now?
Yeah. Well, would you feel better if everything was in the cloud? Because I think that's where it's going to be. That's where people are wanting. They don't want to keep local. They want to keep it all in the cloud.
All you're going to have is a monitor that has an Ethernet cable on the back and 2 USB ports for keyboard and mouse.
Yeah.
And everything else, you're just going to connect to your computer. You're just going to connect to the cloud, and you're going to pay virtual services for everything.
Yeah, or for apps.
You want to play video games? You pay a virtual service. You want to play Xbox? Virtual service. PlayStation? Virtual service.
Right.
Netflix? Virtual service.
Even
Disney Plus? Virtual service.
Even Microsoft did that. I never knew how that went, where you paid a subscription for Windows. So it was a cloud-based Windows. So you would log on to a terminal, and there was your Windows operating system. Yeah. Everybody wants to go subscription. Even Adobe Microsoft Office. A lot of us are doing that now. Into a QuickBooks, which is absorbently expensive. And I used to love it because you used to be able to go out and buy software programs and have them for years. Now, after a year, you get that reminder. Hey, we're going to charge you again.
I'm going to say it again, and I've said it on the show, and I tell my friends this: we are going to have a digital revolution where there's going to be such a pushback from I don't even know if it's going to be from the masses, but it's going to be this huge push for physical content again.
Yeah.
Give me my shows on DVD and Blu-ray. Give me my games on physical disc. Give me my software on a physical disc. Mail me a disc. I don't care.
Yeah.
Give me Photoshop, the beta. I just downloaded the Photoshop beta just now.
Right.
Because it's part of my subscription. I haven't used Photoshop in years. I hardly ever use Photoshop. The last version of Photoshop I bought was probably Photoshop 7. And that was back in the early 2000s.
Yeah. I'm still using 5.5.
Yeah. Probably paid $800 for it. So, but I've been paying for the last 4.5 years. I've been paying $29.99 a month.
All right, we got to take a break. We come back. Actually, I want you to talk a little bit about that because Adobe is doing something a little different, which we think is kind of cool. So we'll come back with more of Tech Talk Radio. I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Sean DeWeird. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Tech Talkers.
We'll be right back.
Now, back to Tech Talk Radio.
So at the beginning of the show, we talked about the new Photoshop generative fill.
Yeah, we've talked about it before recording time.
Yeah, so the new Photoshop beta has generative fill AI.
Okay.
So there's a video that we'll link on our website, Facebook, whatever.
It'll be on the blog at blog.techtalkradio.com.
It's pretty crazy what they do in the video because it's like they're adding yellow lines to the road. They're taking out tire marks on the road and stuff. Well, I downloaded the beta during the show, and I'm playing with it right now. And I went in and I added some Northern Lights. I added a plane, and we had a little bit of fun with it during the break.
The plane was not good.
The plane was not good. And if I just play with it real quick and I just draw a circle and I say, just draw a circle like this, and I say, okay, generative fill. What do I want to say? What do I want to say?
Right. And you type this in, and it uses what Adobe stock images, which people can upload to Adobe. They have like a countless number. I mean, we're not talking hundreds. We're talking just an incredible number that will pull from their kind of library. So what it's doing then is it's not tapping the copyright material of somebody like some of the other programs like Midjourney and some of the others that will do. It just pulls from everywhere on the web to kind of put together what you want. Although
so I just typed in. I have a picture that I took of a lighthouse with some stars in the night sky.
Well, you took that picture? That was a pretty amazing picture too.
Yeah. So all I did, and Andy, you're going to see this now. I haven't shown it to you yet. This is hilarious. And all I did was I selected a piece of the sky and I said International Space Station.
Oh, really? Okay. And that is amazing. Wow.
That's what I came up with.
That is great.
That just looks like a big old satellite, and you can tell where I selected. So, I mean, if you're looking to make memes and looking to just generate a bunch of nonsense, it actually, hold on, it has variations.
Yeah. Oh, so you can check. Oh, look at that.
Oh, so you can check.
This is amazing.
Different.
Again,
it has.
Listeners can check out this video. We're talking about it while he's doing that on our blog.
In the tabs on the right side where you'd see like your layers and your channels and your paths and stuff. In the properties of this image, I now have a tab that I can see variations of the generated AI image that I just made.
Now,
so the first one wasn't good.
Yeah.
The second one actually shows me what looks more like the space station.
Right. So again, how is Adobe protecting the photographer and the visual artist? They're doing it by, will they get paid a certain amount through amounts that they work on? I know that Adobe is really looking at making sure that copyrighted material from other users that are not part of Adobe stock are not going to be used in creating these images like you've done today. And applaud them. Got to applaud them for that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So It's just funny, but it's like,
Yeah. Now, for those that don't use Photoshop, and you got the beta, so you're kind of playing around with that. Is it expensive? Because I go back to the original Aldis Photo Styler, which is one of the discs I found the other day, to Photoshop, and I use Corel over the years from a different company, of course. But is it expensive? I mean, people are going to be paying if they want to play around with this and maybe create some images.
yeah, I mean, I'm trying to see what the cost is right now. Oh, it opened up in a different window. So right now, I pay $19.99 a month,
A month, right?
and that in what includes in that plan,
Mm-hmm.
I have access to Photoshop, Lightroom, Lightroom Classic, Adobe Bridge, and Photoshop for the iPad, and also Photoshop Lightroom for mobile, and I have 1 terabyte of cloud storage for all my photos and stuff. So it's actually not that bad of a deal, right?
Yeah.
But it's like I don't use Photoshop that much. I use just Lightroom.
Ah.
But if I wanted to just do Lightroom, it didn't make sense because it was only a few dollars cheaper.
Yeah, like
And
maybe
then now I got all
16
those
or
extra
17, yeah.
stuff. Yeah, so now for $19.99 a month, but that's $19.99 a month, right? And I've been doing that for a good probably 4 years now.
And I do like that they're protecting the artist. It really just makes sense when you think about it. Now, I would love to get your thoughts on when it comes to AI use. Have you kind of gone into using the ChatGPT model? Would you anticipate, if you're somebody that likes to take a lot of photos, of possibly using this new feature from the new Photoshop? The way this show works, really, and how our discussion with the guys from Metacast the other day is, it started as a live call-in show. You could call in, and I don't want people to feel like they can't call in with their questions. If you're listening, you have a question or a comment. Maybe you're hearing us talk about Photoshop, and you're thinking, well, I use Corel, and I like Corel, and the new Corel 2023 is now available as well. We want to hear from you. We want to hear reviews from you. We want to make this more interactive. So, that right now you can call, you can leave a question, you can leave a comment at 520-777-9580. You can email us, techguys@techtalkradio.com. Another quick break. We come back. I've got a great learning YouTube page for you to check out. I don't know if you've got something you want to cover, but we'll cover more of that coming up here on Tech Talk Radio. I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Sean Weird. Find us on Twitter at Tech Talk Radio.
And now, back to Tech Talk Radio.
Again, you can check out the video from Sean that he created using Photoshop. This is a beta version of Photoshop?
Yeah, it's the current. It just got released as of the recording, like the day today, like the day of this recording. So it's really, really new. They just announced it, and then it's kind of been going crazy. People are talking all about it. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Watergates open and see what people create with.
You could see the video blog.techtalkradio.com or on the front page of our website. We'll have that. Just scroll down a little. You'll be able to see it there. What I think is really cool is we found a website, and there's a guy a guy actually told me about this guy, PH Learn, and Flern is what he called him. He does step-by-step videos using a lot of technology and a lot of Photoshop tricks, whether it be Lightroom, PHLEARN.com. You can go there. You can check out tutorials, downloads. There's free tutorials. You could sign up to learn more about how to do some of the stuff that maybe, your work is saying, hey, we'd love you to be able to create graphics for us. We'd love to be able to do this. And now with the integration of AI into Photoshop for a really good, I like what it's able to do, and they made it easy. Look at you just downloaded it, and you used this tool for the first time within minutes.
It popped up right away. Learn this new tool, generative fill, right? And the Flern video that you're talking about was posted as of this recording 12 hours ago. So this is a very new thing, and that's why we started talking about it, because you said, hey, this guy made this cool video. We should talk about it because we're talking about AI on the show.
So Sean says, well, I'm going to get the program. And there you go. We're using it.
Yeah, it's part of my subscription, and I just downloaded the beta, installed it while we were talking, and dropped in one of my Northern Light images and made a really ugly plane show up. And then I made another one, right? You see, and then I said, it's a picture of a lighthouse with the lake behind it, and I drew a little section over the water with the lasso tool and said, a ship approaching the lighthouse. And it made it look like a lower laker was approaching the lighthouse. I don't think it's going to be that hard for people to make images that are going to pass off as real.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty amazing.
Terrifying, again.
But amazing at the same time, yeah, right?
But amazing at the same time, right? Yeah. So I think I'm going to play around with this. So maybe this will be my foray into AI, and I'm going to be obsessed with AI come next week, right? So we'll see.
Maybe you can share
a little bit.
Share those with us, and we'll put those on our blog as well.
Maybe I will be an AI by next week.
We'll have to see. All right, that's it for this week's Tech Talk Radio. Justin should be back with us next week. In the meantime, again, questions, drop us a line, techguys@techtalkradio.com. I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Sean DeWeird. We'll talk to you next week.